Hello, beautiful people. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Mariquita Solis, vegan empowerment coach and harmonic earth healer. I'm excited to present Jason Demchok, who is he's been on my show before, but we brought him back today because he's got a lot of very important information for people. A lot of us are hurting. We have intestinal issues. Is that the right way to say it? I don't know. Anyway, I'm having a little block here. But how about stomach problems? We're having stomach problems.
We get the idea.
Right. Yes. And so we need help on what to eat. Right. We actually had a great Earth Day luncheon, and people asked, how do we prepare these foods? So now we've got the expert Jason here with us, who, if you're watching, I see JJ's here. Please let us know where you're joining from and get your questions for us, because now is the time to find out how to eat for our microbiome. And what the heck is that? Anyway, Jason is going to explain all this to us. He's got a great presentation. So welcome, Jason.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. And hey, JJ. I'm so glad she's here.
I am too. She's wonderful. So, all right, you ready to get started on your presentation? I'll pull it up.
Absolutely.
Or did you want to say something?
No, I just want to
tell us. I didn't even say who you were.
Oh, I'm going to cover that, in a second. But I just want to say one thing, that what I'm hoping to do here, and you help me realize it, is, you have vegans, people who love the animals, and then you have people who want to be really healthy, and you can have both. In fact, it's very easy to have both, but sometimes like people they're like, oh, I did vegan for 6 months and it didn't work for me. And so I hear all types of different things. And that's why I want to show how to cover all the bases in this, really, it's delicious. It's got everything you want. And it's obviously vegan, but there's a way to do it, I guess, maybe like the optimal vegan diet, we can call it, or something. And it's really comes down to this amazing new concept, which again, it goes back, but now it's really becoming apparent that your microbiome affects not just your gut issues, your stomach pain, but your overall health. Everything, every disease you could think about can be somehow either directly or indirectly connected to your gut microbiome, because it's more than that. Yes, they do protect your gut lining. But also having them there, they signal the brain, they signal the lungs, they signal everything, immune system. So.
Wow. Well, that's amazing. Yeah. Yes, because I am surrounded by vegans and then pre-vegans and all types of people, right? So it's
Exactly.
Very important information. Okay. Yeah. I know people are scared they're not going to get their protein. They're not going to get... Well, there's many things. So yeah, we're going to talk about that. All right. So I'm going to let you do the talking. Absolutely. And I'm going to put your presentation up.
Can you see the presentation?
Here we go. Now, can you see it? I see it.
Okay, good. As long as you can see it, because I'm on here. I'm going to flip back and forth to you. So so this is one serious question for everybody. If there was a way to heal your gut, increase the years of your life and also the life in your years, significantly reduce your risks of major diseases, enjoy even more delicious flavor with new taste buds, cause less harm to innocent animals and the earth, lose fat, save money, feel better, look better, and raise your energetic vibration, would you do it? So me, I've been cooking for a long, long time. I lived in 16 countries. Everywhere I went, I would study cooking with the local people. And I actually... I was vegetarian for a while, but then the paleo movement started and I was just around all these people, started reading these books, and the arguments that they were making seemed very plausible. I was like, oh, I guess I got to eat fish and meat. And I actually did that for 12 years. I was believing that the carbs were the enemy. And, so I was doing this high fat, animal fat lifestyle. And I really thought, like many people do, that if I don't eat animal products, I won't get everything I need. Hence, I won't be optimal. So I have no choice but to eat the animals. And of course, men are especially marketed like that. Animals make us strong and masculine, when in fact, it's actually the opposite on so many levels. And then I was presented from Dr. Shanhang Lu told me about the plant-based diet, I tried to debunk her. I tried it for 2 weeks and I've never felt better because I actually had IBS really badly my whole life.
What is that?
The irritable bowel syndrome. So since I was like 10 years old, I remember just having burning in my gut all the time. And it just got worse. And I would switch diets. Like I said, I do keto and it seemed to help for a little bit. But, it just kept coming back. And the only time it ever went away for like more than 2 weeks was when I did the whole food plant-based diet. And even though, like many people, I went through a transition of being very bloated because I just jumped right in. I was just so excited to eat all these foods. I was afraid of eating like fruits. I was like, oh, I could only have like one fruit a week or something. Now I eat like 8 oranges a day sometimes, And I was so really bought into this, like, oh, fruits are carbs, stay away from that, but eat a ton of butter, all day long. Eat as much butter and cheese as you can. And then, looking back, I can't believe I fell for it and how I did it. But once I realized like, oh my God, we could eat plants. I just went crazy. So I was taking in a really high amount of fiber. And if you do that too quickly, you will get bloating. But the pain went away. And that was what was so exciting for me. And it's been 3 years since that. And the pain has not come back. And now I totally understand why. So, yeah, this is one of the people who took my gut reset program, and he lost 70 pounds off 6 medications. And also, I have a program where I teach people how to make the food ahead of time, so you have the food in your fridge, and you don't have to think about cooking. It's always there. And if you do whole food plant-based cooking the right way, you should be saving 30% over eating meat and prepared foods and everything. And I like to think of it as a meditation, not just the cooking, but the whole act of, obviously, if you can grow your food, that's the best. But even just going to a Whole Foods or a local co-op and just shopping and thinking about your gut microbiome the whole time. Like, oh, I have these, I'm going to talk about them in a bit, but I have all these organisms living in my gut, and I want to feed them. So the whole thing can become very fun. So the gut, for people who are curious, it's just a word, the gut, but it really means gastrointestinal tract, and it starts from your mouth all the way down to your anus. It's the whole tract is technically your gut. But most of when we think of gut, it's the large intestine, the colon, and that's where most of the microbiome lives. We have microbiome everywhere. We have microbiome in our eyelashes. We're surrounded by microbiome, but the colon is where it's where like we have the majority of them. And the microbiome technically includes bacteria, viruses, fungi, even like little worms. Just like when you look in the soil, like good fertile soil has if you just put seeds in dirt, it won't grow anything. But when you add the bacteria, the worms, the viruses, the fungi, it becomes good soil. It's the exact same thing that's happening in our colon. Is we want to have good soil, and to feed the soil, we need to eat plant stuff. Fiber. So that's what fiber is. Okay. Oh, what'd you say?
No, I said that makes sense. I mean, because when we're gardening, we want the worms.
Exactly. We have worms in us, but it's all, and like even the whole idea of candida, it's like people are so worried, I got to kill all this fungus. We need fungus. It's just about having the right balance. And the good news is it's not that hard to get the balance. Everyone who's read Fiber Fueled knows you just want to get a diversity of different fibers. There's technically 2 types of fiber. One of them is soluble and insoluble. The soluble is like a gel. So when you eat oats, when oats get like kind of jelly, right? Or like, what's it called? The chia seeds, but even like these sweet potatoes have a lot of fiber. We don't really see that fiber. It's just like this gel-like substance. And that is what our bacteria love to eat, is that. It also slows down the digestion. So you eat more calories in a fruit. Yes, you are getting carbs, but you're not getting as many calories into your, it's not like adding to your calories because of the fiber. It slows down the digestion. Plus, it does a whole bunch of other things. So yeah, like people who heal their gut, they experience improved digestion. Of course, because your gut isn't leaky. I'll talk about that in a moment. But yeah, so the digestion improves. Immune system. So there's more and more evidence about the immune system and the diversity of the gut microbiome. And there's even a lot of evidence between the gut and the brain, because I'll talk about that a little later too. The gut actually makes serotonin and GABA. So these are neurotransmitters that make us feel good and reduce our anxiety and depression. And it's amazing, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, you can cut me off, please. Just let me know. It's hard for me to hear. Vagus nerve is, so if you see this picture, I'm not claiming to know much about this, but there's the spinal cord, which most people understand goes from the brain down, and that deals with sensory regulation. But actually, the vagus nerve is even more important in a sense. They're both important, but this carries information from the gut up to the brain, and it's attached to every one of these organs. So it does so much. And when we get that gut feeling, like, so there's a connection between having a healthy gut and having strong intuition. So yeah, it's fascinating. And a lot of yoga is connected to the vagus nerve. Weight management, obviously, if you do this right, again, you can get unhealthy on a vegan diet, but if you do it right, you'll be optimal weight. And inflammation, because the gut microbiome actually eats fiber and creates something called short chain fatty acids, such as butyrate, which if you just go on PubMed or just Google butyrate, you'll see so many benefits to it. But it's very anti-inflammatory. It's one of the most important molecules in our body. And the gut lining, so basically that whole gut we talked about from your mouth to your anus is held together through a single sheet of cells, these tiny, tiny little cells connected so carefully. And they need to be able to open to let digested food out and into the blood, but you don't want to let anything else out. So this is an incredibly intelligent, like Dr. Zach Bush talks about this being one of the most fascinating things in the universe, is how these gut lining works. And so you can see on the right, Hippocrates said all disease starts in the gut. The Ayurvedic idea is the same idea. All disease starts in the gut. It hasn't been scientifically verified, but it's growing evidence that when you have these broken junctions and it allows things to get into the bloodstream, now you have bacteria, all those worms and fungus and bacteria that we just talked about that you want inside your gut. When they start to get out of the gut and into your blood, now the entire immune system is kicked off and it's in attack mode. So when you have a chronic leaky gut, you have chronic inflammation, and that eventually starts to take a toll on your body. And then your body can't defend itself, and then it leads to so many other diseases. So this is no joke. This isn't just for gut health, meaning I don't have a stomach ache, because you don't have to necessarily have symptoms, or you might be in so much pain for so long that you just don't even notice it anymore. So most people, when they say how do I know if I have a healthy gut? I say are you eating 50 grams of fiber a day? And most people have no idea what I'm talking about, so that's a good way to tell, 50 grams is a good number to go for. The RDA recommends 32 grams for a man and 28 for a woman, or 27 for a woman. And 97% of Americans are not even hitting that minimum. 97. I mean, I don't know how that number came up with that number. But yeah, that's crazy.
I'm going to write down. You said we need 50 grams of fiber a day. Is that right?
I'm not making that recommendation exactly, but I'll give you this information. Like tribal hunter gatherer people who have like such good guts, right? I don't know if you heard of fecal transplants. They
Yes.
take they take the feces from a healthy tribal person in Africa, and they put it in a Western person who's overweight and has high cholesterol, and his weight, they lose weight from transferring the colon from one colon from up their butt, like from one butt up the other one. And those people, those Hansa people, are getting 100 grams of fiber a day, estimated. And when you look at the Game Changers movie, like the ancient people were getting like 100 grams of fiber. So I shoot for about 50, which if you're eating a lot of beans every day and you're eating oats and some fruits, it's not too hard to hit 50. But if you're eating the standard American diet, you're not even going to hit like 20. So it's pretty funny. So you know Jeff Palmer,
Yes.
He has a great talk I recommend. It's called the New Microbiome Athletic Performance Study, which just goes to show that all athletic performance is better on a whole food plant-based diet because of the microbiome. And like I said, there's a connection between people who have asthma and gut health. There's a direct connection. And I think your audience, I think I talked about this last time, but basically a whole food plant-based diet is vegan, but it's beyond vegan because you're eating the whole food. Like in other words, instead of eating orange juice, you're eating oranges. Because when you eat the orange, you're getting the fiber, you're getting so much more than just the juice, which has good things in it as well.
But what if you're juicing? What do you say about that?
Well, okay, so juicing is technically not whole food plant-based, but there's certain things you do want to juice, like wheatgrass or something. And I like smoothies where I take a whole bunch of green vegetables, like green leaves, like you can get like those big packs at Whole Foods, organic greens. You throw that with some banana and blend it up, and some hemp seeds, flax seeds, blend that up. That's great. But when you juice and you get rid of the fiber, you're losing a lot. So it depends on, there's specific reasons to juice. But when it comes to fruit, I don't recommend juicing fruit. Eat the whole fruit, except for like a lemon or a lime.
Right. No, I really don't ever. So.
Yeah, like if you throw like spinach in a Vitamix and blend it all up and then drink it, you're getting all that fiber still.
Okay, well, what about the juice from the store?
Yeah, well, a juice, like if you juice it, what a juicer does is it takes out the fiber, and it just gives you the juice.
Like, the juice from the store is a shot of sugar.
Oh yeah,
right.
But so is it. Yeah, but if you juice, it's the same thing. If you juice oranges, it's a shot of sugar. But there's a lot of good things in it. You know what I mean? But that's what I'm saying. Like you could drink an orange juice, which is probably like 5 oranges. You have to squeeze 5 oranges, and you drink that. You're not getting any fiber. You get maybe a little bit of fiber, but you're getting a lot of calories. Whereas if you had to eat, you could eat 4 oranges instead. And now you're getting all that fiber. You're going to feel more full. You're not going to get all that sugar all at once.
Yeah, and they were saying, I don't remember who said it, but in the natural ways of living, you would take the oranges and squeeze them yourself. So you would get a tiny little bit of juice. Who would have the energy to do a giant glass of juice, pour up and drink it out of the refrigerator? It's not natural. If we were doing it the natural way, we would only have a little bit, because we probably wouldn't have the patience to do that for 50 oranges.
Exactly. And again, it's like, it's just so, I just love, like, again, the whole food, like those little, when you open up the orange, it's got the little pockets of juice in them. I just enjoy the whole thing of eating it. And again, it's really the fiber. Like the fiber, you can get, I think, like 4 grams of fiber every orange. I could be wrong. Maybe it's 3, but you eat like 4 oranges. Now you got 12 grams of fiber. Remember, we're trying to get to 50. That's just 3 oranges. You do the juice, you're still at 0.
So what about beans? So if you have a serving of beans, how much fiber is that?
So I think I actually have a slide for that.
Okay.
Like I think a cup of beans is like 9 grams of fiber. So I could
Okay.
eat 3 cups of beans in a day. That's like lunch and dinner, you know?
Hmm.
So that's like 3 cups times nine. That's 27 grams. That's like the most Americans are not eating any beans. That's a big part of the problem.
Right. No, I recommended if someone that was telling me they had stomach issues, right? And I recommended beans, at least lunch and dinner.
Exactly. And you know what else also is really good is apples. Because apples feed a bacteria called the Akkermansia, and that bacteria is like the mother of all bacterias in our gut. In fact, we get it from our mother. Like we in the breast milk, there's a special thing called HMO. It's a type of sugar that stimulates in the baby, or it stimulates the Akkermansia in the baby to start growing. And that bacteria protects the gut lining and also feeds the other bacteria. It's the mother. Like it literally makes the food for all the other bacteria. So yeah, if someone just goes to beans, they might have a stomach issue. But if you have the apple with having an apple or two a day and beans, then you're going to be in good shape. And you have to eat the skins because it's the
Right.
skins where it is. Yeah.
What
So
is it okay to cook the apples or no? They need to be raw, or does it matter?
I think it does matter. I mean, I don't. I think it's definitely better than nothing. And you know, Dr. B in Fiber Fuel talks about how cooked broccoli and raw broccoli are going to feed different bacteria in your gut. So you want a little bit of both. But when it comes to fruit, I'm not a big fan of cooking fruit. I like to eat fruit raw.
So do
They're
I.
just,
This person
they're such
doesn't like to eat
perfect
apples
foods.
raw.
Yeah. When I see people starting to put sugar on fruits and putting them in cakes and stuff, it's like just eat the fruit. It's so good. But I'll explain in a little bit why people do that. There's a reason for why they're doing
Oh,
that.
good. I want to hear.
So I'll go through this quickly. Like all leafy greens are whole food plant based. All vegetables in their whole form are whole food plant based. All fruits in their whole food. Remember, the juice is not technically whole food plant based. All the beans, the whole grains. I wish people would eat more whole grains like millet and get good brown rice. It's so easy to make. I teach it in my program. And I don't know, I love having in my fridge a big pot of millet, a quinoa, because it's just so versatile. You can throw it in a salad. It just gives you a nice energy. It's got a lot of fiber. And then the seeds, hemp is one of my favorite things in the world. The hemp seed, it's got such a great nutritional profile, high in zinc, high in magnesium, which is hard to get. It's good for the environment. Flax is great. And then you got the avocados and olives. And then you got the nuts, walnuts being considered the best. And then breads are okay.
Why are
They're not
walnuts the best?
technical.
Why
They
are
have
walnuts the best?
highest amount of omega-3s. So
Good to
people,
know.
yeah, a
Because
lot of
I eat
people
them
really
every
like.
day.
Yeah, but honestly, like you get more omega-3s from the flax and the hemp seeds. So I eat a lot of those as well. But yeah, I'll eat like a handful of walnuts every day for sure. And then the breads, dosa is something I make. It's eaten all across South India and parts of Africa. And it's that picture. It's basically, and they make it like with oil. I figured out a way to make it like without any oil. It's delicious. I make pizza with it, but it's basically a fermented flatbread and it actually has beans. I use peas, and you could use any type of grain. It could be rice, it could be millet, and it's a bread that's high in protein, super high in fiber, and it's fermented, so it breaks down a little bit pre-digested. So, and I love it. But corn tortillas, sprouted breads like Ezekiel are great. So bread, and then I recommend lots of drinks, herbal teas. I actually
Well,
have
can you
my.
go back to? Can you tell me why sourdough is? What's so good about sourdough?
Well, again, sourdough has bacteria, in it. It's fermented. Now, there is some question of when you bake the bread after it's been fermented, does it kill all the good bacteria? You know?
Uh-huh.
And the studies have shown that whether or not it kills them or not, it leaves behind like lactic acid, which is a little bit better. You know, again, everything comes down to the microbiome, really, all health. So the sourdough has a little bit more of a positive effect on the microbiome. But I still prefer the Ezekiel bread, the sprouted breads. I think those are the best. So yeah, good question.
Okay.
And then yeah, the teas, and I love dates. If I'm going to use a sweetener, it'll always be like date syrup or just a whole date. I'll throw it in a smoothie. Spices are amazing. I'll explain why in a little bit. So this is my food. So you can see it's delicious. You can eat so much variety on the whole food plant-based diet. This is the dosa with pizza. I made the sauce. I
Mm.
make the cheese with tofu. So yeah, I'll go through. I kind of already mentioned this. 97% of Americans are deficient in fiber, and I already mentioned that. Dr. B, the single greatest predictor of a healthy gut microbiome is a diversity of plants in one's diet. So that means people like, can I just eat like red beans? I'm like, yeah, eat red beans, eat black beans, eat garbanzo beans. Every different bean and fruit is gonna feed a different good bacteria. So it's almost like a game. I love games, like, you know, so
Uh-huh.
you're going around and you're collecting all these different variety. You go to a farmer's market, you see a weird fruit you've never seen before, eat it because it's going to have a slightly different fiber that's going to feed a slightly different bacteria. And health is really about having the diversity of these bacteria. So think of it like an ecosystem. And our microbiome, they don't have arms and legs. So our job is to feed them. And how do we know if they're happy or not?
Well,
Right?
I know the other day I didn't eat any fruit or vegetable at all, and I felt horrible.
Exactly. Because when you're feeding them, they're literally, how they let you know is they start pumping out serotonin, dopamine, GABA. They start pumping out things that make us feel good. Now, why do people eat bad though? How did this happen? And that has a lot to do with commercials on TV, a lot of brainwashing, and just dopamine. Really high fat, high salt foods can override our natural connection to our microbiome. And then we just forget about them and we just eat whatever is going to make us give us a high. So yeah, I talked about this butyrate. It's amazing. It prevents leaky gut. It feeds our colon cells. So it's so interesting. Remember that, like, why this works again is we eat fiber, it goes into our colon, the microbiome eat it, and then they produce something called short chain fatty acids, and then the cells of our colon eat that. So it's like we eat something, then the microbiome eats it, and then our colon cells eat that. So if you're eating meat, you're not getting any of that benefit. You know, so it's a horrible idea. And polyphenols, in the name of the talk, food flavors, fiber, and gut health. Polyphenols are the flavor part of things. This is the other part of the equation. So you got the fiber. So yeah, if you only walk away with two things, the reason why the whole food plant-based diet is by far the best diet for our health, but also obviously the animals and also the environment, is because of fiber and polyphenols. And the polyphenol is just a fancy word for what gives every plant, like fruits, vegetables, herbs, everything, their unique colors, smells, and flavors. So it's chemicals that make it turn yellow, that make it taste like different things. And these have tremendous benefits. It's just so, it's almost like a miracle that these things that are giving the plant the color is what's, turning off the cells that produce cancer in our body. It's like it's like this amazing relationship that almost seems like divine. Like, how did that happen? It's like the plants were given to us. You could almost say like a Garden of Eden. So like red foods, tomatoes, pink grapefruit, watermelon are great for the prostate and many other things as well. The green foods are great for the heart. blue and purple are great for the brain. So it's almost like eat the rainbow. You don't have to know any of the science. Just ask yourself, did I eat something blue today? Did I eat something orange? Did I eat something green? And just get excited about the colors because they all have different benefits. And it's so interesting. Again, it's fascinating how nature works. Like the same chemicals that make tomatoes red and is the same chemical that makes watermelon and pink grapefruit red. I don't know how it figured that out. It doesn't make it's like they uses these same chemicals, and we don't have to know anything about the fruit. We just have to know the color. Just looking at the color, we know it's going to affect our brain. It's amazing. It's almost like the chakra system. Like the red is the lower chakra, and the blue is the higher chakra. It's all there. It's all there right in front of our face.
That's amazing.
Spices and herbs, think about it. They have the strongest flavor and smell. That's because they're loaded with polyphenols. And one of the many reasons polyphenols are so important, and you don't get any of them from meat, by the way. Like when you eat bacon, you're getting all this carcinogen, but no antioxidant. So if you're going to eat bacon, which I don't recommend, at least put a lot of turmeric and spices because that'll protect you a little bit. But polyphenols, what they do is, one of the things they do is when everything we do produces these free radicals, which just bump into our vessels and cells and cause damage. But the polyphenols go and suck these, they literally stick to them. And when they stick to them, they don't stick to us. So if you're eating colors and drinking herbal teas all day long, you're constantly protected. I can't imagine why someone wouldn't want to do this. Like I drink 5 cups of herbal tea a day. You know what I mean? Coffee is technically an herbal tea. I mean, coffee has some antioxidants, but when you put the milk in it, you just created way more damage. But soy milk is good though. So my recommendation is to eat fruits and vegetables all day long, and eat in your meals beans, whole grains, seeds, nuts, and then drink herbal teas. Cacao is really good, and coffee throughout the day. If you look at the polyphenol levels, clove is ridiculously off the charts, 300,000, but you're not going to eat much clove. But in my tea, I put clove, and a little bit goes a long way. Peppermint is incredibly good. Also, peppermint's been shown to be very good for your gut. Keeping your gut calm, and if your digestion's too fast, the peppermint's good. Cacao, again, not like a milk chocolate bar, but like using cacao in a smoothie, mix it with a banana. You could do great things with it, or get 85% dark chocolate. Blueberries are very high, but look how low they are compared to the herbs and teas. But the difference is though, you can eat a lot of blueberry. Coffee's up there, and then look at the meat, cheese, and eggs. Zero ORAC score. So if you eat a meal and you're eating like blueberries and beans, like beans and whole grains, all of these things are high in polyphenols if you eat them in their whole form, right? If you take off the skin of the bean or whatever, you're losing a lot of the polyphenol. So, but if you eat like a piece of meat, right? And like if you eat like eggs and bacon and a piece of white bread, you're literally getting no polyphenols. Whereas if you eat like just beans and greens, like what I eat every day, every meal, there's going to be beans, there's going to be greens. I'm just flooding my body with these things which are going to protect all my organs. And for the people who want to look good, it protects your skin from the inside out. So again, it's a no-brainer to just be drinking. Like just change, and in parts of the world, India, South America, they're drinking mate all day long. In Argentina, they're in Brazil, in Japan, they're drinking green tea all day long. So it's a smart way to do it.
I want to get a peppermint plant. Get a peppermint plant and chew on the peppermint. Is that okay?
Yeah, exactly. But mix it up. Remember, the variety is the key. You want to do peppermint. You want to put cinnamon in your food. So nitric oxide is another interesting thing. When you eat green vegetables, like arugula is really high, but also beets. it creates this substance. The bacteria in the back of our tongue actually make this thing called nitric oxide, which all these athletes are obsessed over now because it's been shown to increase like you could like lift 25% more weights if you drink beet juice before you work out. But you get
Wow.
even more from arugula.
I love
And it's great.
arugula.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I eat it all the time. But you get it from spinach, chard, a lot of things have it. And it's great for blood pressure. Because think about it, when nitric oxide relaxes the blood vessels, so it's releasing the pressure. Workout performance and Viagra is a vasodilator, just like nitric oxide. It's the same, it works on that pathway. Potassium is another really interesting thing that was not on my radar for the whole time I was doing the keto diet. It's really high in fruits and vegetables. Again, you get that 97% number. 97% of Americans are not hitting the minimum amount of potassium. And it's so easy to hit that, right? Like if you eat like a potato and 2 bananas, you basically hit it. But most people are not hitting that. And it's just, think of it in a simple terms, like a seesaw, right? Like the more sodium you have, the more you're increasing your blood pressure and all these other problems. The potassium counteracts it. So if you could eat a high potassium, low sodium, salt diet, you're going to have great heart health, and many other benefits. But think about it. When you eat meat is disgusting if you don't put a lot of salt on it. In fact, like when they prepare steaks, they let it like sit in salt. I heard from Dr. Baker that most Americans get their salt from chicken, because when you get that nasty chicken in that plastic thing, they pump it with salt because it increases the weight. So meat is full of salt. So if you just get rid of the meat, you're already like reducing your salt ridiculously. But then when you eat, I think I have a slide. So look at the potassium food. So beet greens is actually chard. So when you see Swiss chard or rainbow chard, spinach, white beans. Now I put clams in there because clams in the animal kingdom, clams are relatively high, but you're not going to be able to eat as much clams as beet greens. And also, who's eating clams every day? Most people are eating chicken or steak. And you got potatoes, avocado, sweet potato, and then you got the salmon. And beef is even lower. So as you can see, you get way more potassium from plants. And
Well,
much
good.
less.
I already had 2 sweet potatoes today.
Good. Yeah. And eat the different colors. Eat the purple, the red, the orange, the white, because they all have different polyphenols. I make like a mashed potato or roasted potatoes. I always use like 3 colors. Monounsaturated fat is another thing which you get plants, except for like certain plants like coconut and peanut butter and chocolate. Most plants are very high in monounsaturated fats, like olives, avocados, nuts, and seeds. So when you eat like walnuts, when you eat even olive oil, if you're going to use olive oil, use it sparingly and get the highest quality you can find. But all the studies show that polyphenols, even though they're a fat, they actually lower our cholesterol. So monounsaturated fat is great. And the olives come with polyphenols. Avocados are amazing. They have fiber, they have monounsaturated fat, polyphenols, protein. People think of avocados as just fat, but they're delicious. I mean, I eat like 1 a day. So then you got, not only do you have all the benefits of the plants, which you don't get from meat, but then the meat has a ton of problems.
Mm-hmm.
Most, like, namely the saturated fat is just causes every disease you don't want. Diabetes. People always think that, I'm going to mention it, that carbs cause diabetes, but it's actually the saturated fats. TMAO, just like I was saying, when we eat good fiber, we breed good bacteria that help us. When we eat meat, we breed bad bacteria that produce something called TMAO, which causes all types of problems. So again, it could not be more cut and dry, the science of what's good for you. And then you got this thing called heme iron. So a lot of people think vegan diet's low in iron. There's iron in everything. It's just that we absorb it plant iron very slowly, which is actually a good thing, because too much iron's a heavy metal. We don't want too much iron. So if you're eating plants, you're getting plenty of iron. If you're eating red meat, you're getting iron that goes right into your colon and has been shown to cause colon cancer. And iron, especially in men, is connected to heart attacks and so many things you don't want. And
I was
then
trying
when
to
you,
think about that the other day too. The heme iron. I was telling somebody because isn't that Jeff online, Clean Machine online?
yeah,
Oh, I don't know.
is
See
he
that?
here?
Yeah, yeah. I see
No way.
MUFAS. MUFAS. Anyway, I was thinking about Jeff and heme iron, and I said, "Well, I know heme iron is from animals, and that's bad." But then I couldn't. I needed Jeff to be there to tell me. Continue
Yeah,
on.
I need Jeff. By the way, since you mentioned Jeff, like I have to thank Jeff, because so much of this presentation is thanks to Jeff. Like I asked him even yesterday. I was on the phone with Jeff yesterday, just going deep into diabetes, and he's just a walking encyclopedia of
Right, Jeff
everything
Palmer.
nutrition. Jeff Palmer, yeah, yeah. So so the heme iron, basically, yeah. I mean, like I said, iron is a heavy metal. We think of mercury, we think of lead. These are heavy metals. You don't want them, but we do need iron. But we have to be very careful, because too much iron is very dangerous. And heme iron only comes from animals, and they put that in the Impossible Burgers. They made some kind of plant-based heme iron, which makes it
Why?
look, because they just trying to make it look and taste like blood or something, and I don't know. But the heme iron, from what I understand, is that it absorbs, like I think you absorb 5% of iron from plants, non-heme iron, and I think you absorb like 40. Don't quote me on that, but 40% of heme iron. So you're just flooding your body with a lot of iron very quickly, and that is dangerous, and it accumulates. If you're eating steak every day, you're getting a lot of iron, and iron's been shown to cause colon cancer. That's the one thing I know. And when you barbecue, like all these things about how bad meat is for you, when you fry them or barbecue them, you've just increased the negative effects by like 1,000.
Oh,
Plants, you could actually barbecue plants. Tofu actually has some of this AGE, so you don't want to burn tofu either, but it's still way better than burning meat. Now, here's something that I'm really fascinated by, and it's become something I want to talk about more, is this dopamine. So when you eat like a typical McDonald's meal or ice cream, you're getting saturated fat, you're getting salt, you're getting MSG and sugar. All of those things give your brain, when the second it touches your tongue, your brain gets this reward, quote unquote reward, because it's getting a ton of very dense calories. So that gives us a dopamine shot. It's literally what cocaine does. So the reason why people have such a hard time, even when you tell them, I don't eat meat, and they start to get threatened, oh, I can never give up meat, blah, blah. It's because they literally have a cocaine addiction. They have a minor cocaine addiction. Every time they eat, they need that fix. If they don't get the meat, and again, you could even do this on a vegan diet. If you're just eating like fried French fries, you're kind of doing that dopamine hit. So, but especially with meat, because meat is very high in saturated fats, and you always put salt on it. And when you go to most restaurants, they're using MSG. It's in the sauces. So you're getting this shot. And then what happens? The sad thing is that when you have an addiction to cocaine, when you're not on it, you crash. So most Americans, besides just the coffee and all the other addictions they have this incredible addiction to terrible food, because they're crashing. And then the only thing that will alleviate that crash is a piece of cheese, is eggs fried in butter, because they need, and the crazy thing is, just like any addiction, you need more and more. You need like more butter. Like you just get more addicted to that fatty, salty food, which is killing you. And then like ice cream is the worst. And I'll even go deeper. What happens is you become insensitive. Like I said, you need more to get the hit. And then we actually lose motivation in our lives, because our body needs dopamine is what gives us motivation to make ourselves better people, to, sex drive is connected to dopamine also. So if you're addicted to food and these horrible foods, you're losing motivation in life. And so that's why I call my program not just a gut reset, it's also a dopamine reset. And on the other side, when you're eating fiber, this was so fascinating. When you're eating fiber, your gut produces, when they're happy, they produce serotonin. Serotonin almost has like a different, I wouldn't say opposite, but dopamine is this like cocaine addiction. Serotonin is this calm, grounding feeling, like I'm home, I'm comfortable, I'm with my loved ones. Like, it just, think of everything calm and grounding. So to think about it, if someone's eating meat, they're living a stressful life. And when they eat the meat, they get their cocaine hit. They go back to work and they're like, they got this energy. Then they crash again. Then they got to go out to dinner and eat sushi and all these animal products. And it always has to be different too. When you have that dopamine addiction, every meal has to be something new. Oh, I need sushi. Then I need pizza. Then I need, you got to, because you're so addicted to the food. I eat a bunch of different things, but I don't go crazy. I enjoy my Buddha bowl, which I'll switch up the beans, but I have a few sauces I switch it up with. But it's basically like greens, beans, potatoes, sweet potatoes, pickled onions, some fermented vegetables. I just throw it in a bowl and I eat it every day, and I'm so happy. You know what I mean? Like, but when you have that dopamine addiction, like food, and I do have to feel sorry for them, because they're in a lot of pain. They're literally addicted, and like, you try to tell them, like, an animal had to die for your addiction. They don't even want to hear it, because they're like they're suffering inside themselves. So serotonin. Right. So if you're around healthy, not all vegans, but the vegans who are doing whole food plant-based, they're the nicest people. You know what I mean? Like, they're not greedy. They're not as greedy. Like, they tend to just be great people who I love to be around. Like, I have a hard time, but there's a reason why whole food plant-based people are calm and happy, is because they're having a lot more serotonin and not so much dopamine. And then if you look at cheese, you got another factor, which is the morphine. So the baby cow has to feel good to drink the milk, or even the baby human. So there's something called casomorphins to get the baby addicted to the mother to feed, so it doesn't starve to death. But we're supposed to outgrow that, right? We're supposed to outgrow that. But when you keep eating cheese your whole life, since you're a baby, you never outgrow another addiction. So you got the cocaine on one side, but if you have cheese and dairy, now you're getting morphine. So it's like, not only are you, like, I was addicted to dairy, to cheese. So yeah, and I thought I'd never give it up. But the good news is it takes 10 to 14 days to actually change your taste buds. You could break this addiction to cheese and meat and dopamine in 2 weeks, and you're going to be fine. It's not as bad as people think. But that's all it takes. Like, when you just, like, the people who are addicted to meat and cheese, if they see themselves as like the person they are now is not going to be the person they are in 14 days, because their taste buds are going to be totally different. So in other words, for me, when I was on keto diet, like, an avocado tasted like nothing, because I was so used to butter. But now avocado is like eating butter. The avocado is so rich because my taste buds have changed to appreciate all these delicious flavors, and I'm not chasing that dopamine hit. I'm chasing, what's going to make my gut happy? Because if they're happy, I'm going to have a lot of serotonin. Right. So, and I'll just give you one more example about, like, when I was younger, I used to eat a lot of fruit. But then I started going to my friend's house and they had candy. And then after I started eating candy, I couldn't even look at the fruit. It was so unappealing. So it's like, now that I'm back on the fruit, I can't look at the candy, because when you eat an orange, every bite is different. When you eat a candy, it's artificial flavor is just meant to stimulate the part of your brain that tells you it's an orange. And that's why Skittles uses all these different colors, and cereals use all bright colors to stimulate our brain thinking it's a berry, thinking it's a fruit, thinking it's high in polyphenols, but it has none. So there's our friend Jeff.
Yep.
So I'll speed it up a little bit, but yeah. So people ask, can you get enough protein, right? That's like always the big one. And all amino acids come from plants. So if you eat an animal, you're just basically taking the amino acids which came from the plant in the animal and eating it. And it's actually worse because your body has to break down that protein anyway into amino acids. So you can get all the protein you need from plants. They used to say, oh, plants aren't a complete protein. It doesn't have all 8 or 12 amino acids. Now we know it does. All plants have all the amino acids, but if you're eating beans and greens and, broccoli and hemp seeds or some kind of seed every day, you got plenty of protein. And not only
Okay, so
that,
all essential, I mean, okay, so we can get all essential amino acids from plants. That's the big one that people say.
yeah, you can, even fruits have all the amino acids you need. I recommend the beans and other things, but people are just living off fruits and they're fine because you get everything you need from there. In fact, when you get meat, protein from meat, it has something called methionine, which is actually very low in plant products. And high methionine causes cancer. It's been linked to cancer. So again, another reason you don't want to eat protein. And actually too much protein is an overload. It can lead to kidney issues. So too much protein is actually a big problem. It could lead to diabetes. So we're obsessed with protein. There's a book called Proteinaholic, and it explains that pretty well. Now this is something, again, a little side note, but something important to mention is that language and culture really affect how we think. People don't realize it. People thinking, making their own decision. I just like meat because it feels good. No, you've been programmed from your culture using, and it's very deceptive because when people say, oh, do you want a protein with your meal? What they mean is meat.
I know. I
wasn't like that. 10
I
years
want
ago,
to
it wasn't like that. No one said that. I never heard that phrase. And now I could have a meal with beans in it and broccoli and spinach. Spinach is high in protein. And they'll be like, where you want protein? I'm like, yeah, I got plenty of protein with the beans, right? So it's just this, and then carb equals bad. So I just want to say, this is just, we're being controlled by belief structures that aren't even real. I practice Buddhism. Buddhism is not a religion. It's a practice of looking at what do I believe and how do I know it's true? And just getting rid of everything in your mind that someone just told you and you just believe it because you're told. And then if you look at the actual protein, cheddar cheese, people think cheese, 300 calories from fat for 95 grams of protein. An egg, same thing, it's mostly fat. Beef, mostly fat. Salmon, mostly fat. Nutritional yeast, mostly protein. So you get more protein from nutritional yeast, a condiment, and less fat. So when the whole idea of protein, just eat nutritional yeast. And if you're worried about protein, you get plenty from that. And then you got collagen, which is a waste product. They were throwing out all this collagen because it's made from bones. And then they figured they can convince people to buy these collagen powders. I know vegans who are taking collagen products. They don't even know it's made from animal bones. It's just like collagen, it's good for your skin. Here's something I really want people to understand is collagen is made up of 3 amino acids. Yes, collagen is important. It makes your skin, it makes your teeth, everything is held together by collagen. So you want collagen. It's made up of 3 amino acids. Now, people think if I eat collagen from bone soup, I'm going to put the collagen right into my knees so my knees will get better. Into my skin will look better. It doesn't work that way. Your body in your small intestine has to break the collagen down into the 3 amino acids it's made out of, the proline, valine, and glycine. And then it has to send it to the cells, and in the individual cells in the skin, it becomes collagen. Well, guess what? You can get those same amino acids from plants, and they'll go to the area in the cells where it's needed, and they'll be rebuilt. So it doesn't matter. You don't get more collagen by eating collagen. It's a very, very simple way of looking at biology that is not based on reality at all, but yet it's such a popular belief. And putting it on your skin does absolutely nothing. So, but here's the interesting thing I learned from Jeff too. The studies show you need vitamin C to make collagen. So actually the people who do the best are the people who have the most vitamin C. How much vitamin C is in animal products? 0. You get all the vitamin C from fruits and vegetables. So if you want good skin and strong bones and everything, it's plants again. It's eating a lot of fruits. Can you get everything from? Yeah, it's great. It's so cool. Like I'm just yeah, and then gorillas, apes, they're eating grass and fruits all day long, and they have these gigantic bodies. So we do not need to eat. It's so simple. Like, oh, but we're not apes. Yeah, but we're the most similar to them, and they don't need to eat meat at all. Fruits and grains are high in carbs. If you eat a whole fruit, you're getting fiber, polyphenols, water, a special type of water, vitamins and minerals. And that has a very different effect on your blood sugar than just eating a donut, eating just sugar. And actually berries and fruits actually lower the carb effect, the insulin effect. It actually increases your insulin performance. So fruits are great, obviously. And I don't want to get too deep into this. This is from the book Mastering Diabetes, but the gist of it is this. If you go to a doctor, and I talk to people with diabetes all the time, they go to the doctor. What does the doctor say? Get on a low-carb diet. This is like doctors being paid $1 million a year. Their patients are on insulin for the rest of their life. It's an irreversible disease. We now know from Mastering Diabetes that type 2 diabetes is completely reversible. Completely. And the answer is to get away from the fats, the saturated fats, and not the carbs. It's exactly the opposite of what they're doing. It's almost like the most amazing thing, how wrong they could be. Because what happens is when you're eating a lot of saturated fats, it is slowing down your cell's ability to take in the carbs. So basically, if you just eat carbs like fruits, your body will take the energy into the insulin, will open up the cell, it'll get in there, burn it, get energy, everybody's happy. If you eat saturated fat, that clogs up the cell. So now the carbs can't get in. The insulin is saying, why isn't it working? After a while, the cells become insensitive to the insulin signal, and then it stops working as well. So all I'm trying to say is it's the saturated fat. The simple thing is like, oh, eating carbs makes your insulin release, so it must be the carbs that's the problem. No, it's the fats, not the carbs. So that's Mastering Diabetes. We could talk a whole time about that, but that's what that's about. Now, if you look at what 500 calories looks like, if you eat fruits and veggies, you could fill up your whole stomach on 500 calories. If you eat cheese and meat and oil, you barely fill up your stomach. So you're going to eat so much more. So if you're eating a whole food plant-based diet, it's almost impossible to eat too much and gain weight. If you look at strawberries, you can eat a whole crate of strawberries and it's like 50 calories. I do that all the time. I'll just eat an orange is 47 calories, right? An apple's 52 calories. And remember, you're getting all the fiber too. Whereas look at butter, 717 calories for the same amount. So you're just getting so many more calories and not much nutrients. And then look at the fiber. So black beans, 9 grams. Oats, 10 grams. Nutritional yeast, there we go again. 20 grams of fiber.
Oh, wow.
It's so good for you. It's so good. So I love making cheese with, I use a lot of nutritional yeast because you're getting protein. You're getting more protein than actual cheese. It's like so funny. All these animal products have no fiber whatsoever. Flax seeds, very high. If you're eating fruits, if you're eating beans, seeds, and nuts, it's not harming the plant. It's literally they're giving you the fruit. And then you've heard about like lectins and phytates and oxalates. These are things in plants which they say are bad for you, so plants are dangerous. These are plants' defense mechanisms. It's all been debunked. They all have good effects. So the oxalates, people say causes kidney stones. It actually reverses kidney stones. It's like literally the opposite because they look at things so simply. Potatoes, again, if you don't fry them, they're very high in fiber, potassium, vitamin C, and polyphenol. So, and they're super satiating. So including potatoes in your diet, white potatoes are great. Soy, we could talk all about soy, but it's the most demonized food. But it's, again, another example of misinformation because we have two estrogen receptor sites, alpha and beta, and soy binds to the beta, which actually regulates estrogen levels. Whereas if you're drinking milk from a cow, it's actually the opposite. So they're saying that if you eat soy, if you're a man, you're going to have high estrogen, you're going to get man boobs. It's exactly the opposite. Soy is actually going to improve your testosterone. And then just talking about the earth, the mother. The earth is the mother of everything, right? Everyone's mother. Everything technically comes out of the earth, right? Even this computer came out of the earth, the minerals and everything. So not only does this diet good for us, but if we care about the earth, you know, as your audience knows, we kill 50 billion chickens a year, which is insane, a billion pigs, hundreds of millions of cows. So most of our land and all the stuff we're growing is just to feed to the meat. 2 trillion pounds of fish are killed every year. We've killed half the fish in the ocean, not to mention the air pollution is off the charts. And when people think, oh, I'm a vegetarian, I don't kill any animals, I don't eat meat. Well, the sad news is that on a dairy farm and an egg farm, half of all the males are killed at birth. So because the males don't lay eggs and the males don't make milk. So they're not going to feed something that has no purpose. So they just take all the male chickens and just murder them right off the bat. So eggs, not only are they not healthy, they're actually worse than eating meat, you know, because a dairy farm actually causes more death. It's awful. So, I mean, I'm not recommending eating meat, but if you're going to raise a cow and kill it and it makes 300 pounds of meat, that's one thing. But to make dairy, you have to keep these women cow pregnant all the time against their will, take away their babies, kill their babies. It's crazy how bad it is. And then you got all these vegan athletes, vegan entertainers. The RZA is from New York. He raised his kids totally vegan. So the major takeaways, there's nothing we need from an animal that we can't get from plants. Our taste buds will regrow in 14 days. Just have to push through 2 weeks. We get quick results like I had with my gut. My gut felt better in like 5 days. It's less expensive. So there's no reason for our health purposes that we need to enslave and artificially inseminate and kill animals. And animal agriculture is the biggest threat to the Earth's environment. And we call ourselves loving people. If you really want to know what love is, you expand it to include all life. Then you become a more loving person. So again, that same question, you know, why wouldn't you want to do something that's going to improve your health, make you feel better? Everything I mentioned, like, why wouldn't you want to do that? So again, we don't need to hurt animals. I offer group programs, individual coaching, event and retreat catering, restaurant consulting. And this is my contact info. I guess we could put it in this is going to go on YouTube.
It's on YouTube right now.
Okay, perfect. I just want to say that I have something that I've been doing that I'm really excited about. And I've been getting great results from many happy people. The 8-week gut reset. So basically, it includes like the 8 foundational cooking skills. Like I mentioned, greens, beans, how to make the perfect beans every single time, how to prep so you have them for the week, how to know how to shop, how to save money, all that stuff. And then I have like weekly calls. I have everything, videos on the app, weekly we have an ongoing chat group. And I give a shopping guide and other useful tools. And again, everything I mentioned, you're going to be eating the best food. And if people want this information, I can share it. I just want to make sure people who take the program, they understand that this is a lifestyle change. It's not just like, okay, I'm going to take this program. I expect I only want to work with people who are like, yes, I'm excited to go shopping. I'm going to dedicate some time to cook in my busy schedule. So it's not that much. It's really easy. Once you make it a habit, it's just changing. Like most people who just go out to eat every meal, they never cook. They have a beautiful kitchen, brand new home, beautiful kitchen, never use the kitchen. All this brand new equipment. It's hysterical. Like, let's use it. And these are some of my students, food they made. This is all from my program. There's Jeff, because we actually look for each other. And I'm offering a special price at $500 right now for the program. And yeah, so if anyone's interested, they can totally reach out to me. There we go. Reach out to me. I can tell them more.
Wonderful.
I start a new every month.
All right. Yeah. Well, this is great. That's a lot to take in. I'm going to have to go watch it again.
I know.
But no, you really did. I mean, I'm going out to eat tonight at a Chinese restaurant. So what should I order now? I'm scared.
Well, that's a good question. I mean, no, you can do good there. I mean, it's not going to be organic probably, but I would get maybe some like steamed broccoli, some brown rice, and have them make a sauce, not too oily, some kind of garlic sauce. I would say some kind of, they're going to put salt and soy sauce in it, but but I like a garlic sauce with hot peppers maybe, and broccoli, water chestnuts, carrots. So a mixed vegetable, but I tell them broccoli. I like to get a lot of broccoli from a Chinese restaurant. I'm trying to think what else you can get there. Maybe they have some steamed vegetable dumplings. It's probably going to be some MSG or something in there, but definitely I would get a big thing of brown rice, some broccoli with a delicious sauce, and I have them put the sauce on the side. So steam the vegetables and give me the sauce on the side. This way they don't fry it in the sauce.
Right. Okay. Well, gotcha. Yes. Now, I really needed this reminder. So I'm so glad you came on today, Jason,
Perfect.
because, it's easy to get hooked back into like they say, the pleasure trap, like Doug Lyle's book, right? Yeah. Because the foods are so addictive, the processed foods. And so once it's like, I'll be like, oh no. And now I've fallen off the wagon, so let me jump back on the wagon, let me get back on track.
You know what I do with the people in my program? Instead of being like a lot of them are meat eaters, cheese eaters, instead of being like, okay, you're starting, this is how most people do it. You're starting the program, get rid of all the meat, get rid of all the processed foods. I don't do that. It's 8 weeks, so we can go very slow, take our time. But what I do recommend is one meal a day, you fill up on what I call the Buddha bowl or the Bliss bowl, where you're going to have a lot of greens, a lot of beans, right? That's the big part, the beans and the greens. As long as you're and put it, I also put an apple in there. So if you put an apple, beans and greens, and I put a delicious tahini miso balsamic dressing. If you're and maybe put some ground flax seeds or hemp seeds in there. If you're doing that once a day, you won't fall off the wagon because you know what I mean. Like that's if you just like I have to do this once a day. The other meal a day or the other 2 meals, okay, maybe I'll eat something processed, whatever. But if you ground yourself in one really good whole food plant-based meal a day, and then then because you're also having the good bacteria, because you got to remember the reason why this is so dangerous when you fall off is because what happens is now you're breeding the bad bacteria, and guess what? They want to survive, so they're going to send signals to your brain to give you more of the bad stuff. Whereas if you're eating the good stuff all the time, which I do because this is important to me, I don't really fall off like in that sense. Like me falling off is like I'll eat too much chocolate or peanut butter, like whole food,
Right.
too many nuts or something. But like if you're eating the good bacteria, if you're filling up on that, you're just not gonna be able to eat as much of the bad stuff because the good bacteria are telling you like, give me some beans, give me some beans, like.
Well,
So just remember, people are like, well, I just feel better when I eat meat. No, of course you feel better because the bacteria in your gut, they want more meat. So when you eat the meat, they're going to tell you good job. But but they're not your friends. They're not your friends.
you're getting hijacked, right? Yeah, no, this makes a
Exactly.
lot of sense. I'm glad that. So now I'm ready to go to the restaurant tonight, and I know what to ask for. So thank you,
Well, let me know
Jason.
how it goes. Take a picture. Let us see the picture of how they do it because I'm always curious. Some Chinese restaurants, like they come from China, they come from a Buddhist culture. They might get like, oh, great, you're vegan, like Buddhist delight. There's a dish called like Buddha's delight sometimes, which is kind of like that. And tofu, of course, if they have some kind of
Yeah,
tofu.
I love tofu.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Oh my god.
All right. Well, I'll let you know. Definitely. I'll take a picture for you and post
Thank
it
you.
here. So, all right. Well, this has been great. Thanks so much. And I encourage everybody to look up Jason, take the program. I mean, you can take back your health no matter where you are. I mean, to thrive, no matter what, you can always do better. We can always do better. That's life is a growth. It's a
Oh, I'm
learning.
doing better. I'm always even my program. I've had the program for 2 years, constantly making it better, not just from a health perspective, but like just making it easier for the students. So yeah, this getting better doesn't mean you're bad, right? Like getting better just means that you just care more about what you do. And yeah, one other cool thing about the program, which I love, is like I say, I only accept people who are like really excited about this. So you get to meet a group of this current group has 5 people. I usually kind of cap it at 10 people, but like you're going to meet a group of people who are just like you from all over, and so you'll make a lot of new friends as well, which is a really something I didn't see at first because I was doing it more one-on-one, and then once I went to the group, I was like, this is way more fun.
It is fun.
You still
Groups
get
are
access
really
to
fun.
me. Yeah.
All
Well,
right.
thank
Well,
you so
thanks so
much.
much. Thank
Have a
you.
wonderful
Thanks,
day.
everybody. Thanks, JJ and Jeff. Bye, everybody.